No, it's not going to happen right now. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not even going to happen over the next year, 2, 3, 5, 10 years.
Much fun. I love it. I love it. We having a good time? Knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously.
It's a thing that we have to constantly build and build towards. And the biggest thing is changing laws.
In the good old days, this doesn't happen because they used to treat them very, very rough. Like when you guys put somebody in the car and you're protecting their head, the way you put their hand over. I said, you can take the hand away, okay?
We as a society have the same laws that were in the 1700s, that were in the 1800s, that have no correlation to what we are in our real life in the era that we live in now.
The Lakers' Kyle Kuzma has been an outspoken advocate for systemic change. Whether it is Laura Ingram's hypocritical stance on Drew Brees, saying he's allowed to have his views about kneeling and what the flag means to him. I mean, he's a person. When on the other hand, telling LeBron James to shut up and dribble and not take political advice from a basketball player, or the justice he demands for Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old black woman who was shot and killed in her Louisville apartment while she was sleeping, Kyle Kuzma made it very, very clear. And you could probably guess why just from the title of his piece in the Players Tribune, Ain't No Sticking to Sports. America's thing that we just do not want to talk about as a country is race.
Yes, because you were born white, you have advantages that are systemically, culturally, psychologically there.
Racism is in every part of society. It's in the law. It's economic. It's a person to person. That's why white people have to realize it's not just about your heart or your individual mindset. As white fragility author Robin J. DiAngelo put it in her book, individual whites may be against racism, but they still benefit from a system that privileges whites as a group. Kuzma references a few things. The Great Depression affecting black Americans. Said to be last hired, first fired, African Americans were the first to see hours and jobs cut, and they experienced the highest unemployment rate during the 30s. The African American unemployment rate in 32 climbed to approximately 50%. Per History.com, prior to the Great Depression, African Americans worked primarily in unskilled jobs. After the crash, those entry-level, low-paying jobs either disappeared or were filled by whites. The Great Recession of 2009 then hit, and it hit everyone very hard. The unemployment rate, for example, peaked at 10% in 2009 for all Americans. For African Americans, it exceeded 16%. The average black household earned $50,654 in 2010, 61% of a white family. It's not like racism just ended. The 13th Amendment notes slavery was abolished except as a crime. This is where I highly recommend watching Ava DuVernay's The 13th, which is available on Netflix and YouTube. Kuzma goes deeper. Essentially, they were saying, okay, they're free now, but they can't be free if they're criminals, so let's make them criminals. Let's make rules so tough that it's easy for them to mess up. That's when, as Kuzma rightfully notes, Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan ran as the anti-drug presidents, targeted predominantly non-white areas of the country. This movement empowered the prison industrial complex, where inmates make next to nothing and produce goods such as mattresses, eyeglasses, road signs, body armor, and other products for government agencies, earning $500 million in sales in 2016. The New York Times wrote of Victoria's Secret and JCPenney using prison labor. As an athlete, speaking up and trying to educate people matters. It's just amazing when you look at everything that African Americans have been through in society, and to see where we were from being in boats and shackles to being billionaires and building our own culture that everyone tries to copy, and our own ways of life. In a huge announcement in this piece, Kuzma wrote of a voting campaign that's going to help get people's eyes on where primaries and elections are being held in every state this year. Because, in his own words, there just ain't no sticking to sports.